Yeah, man. Welcome back. Welcome to Akati Avenue. And today title is it's going to be a cold winter for Tracee Ellis Ross. It's going to be a cold winter for Tracee Ellis Ross. I hope we all know who Tracee Ellis Ross is. She's that famous actress who happens to be Diana Ross's daughter, right? And of course, she's famous. She's been in a couple of shows here and there. And but today we're going to talk about her, let's say, sort of relationship situation she's in. Now, last year, I think it was mid last year, I can't remember, I made a video about Vivica Fox, and I said it's going to be a cold winter for ladies like Vivica Fox. It's going to be a cold winter, right? Vivica Fox is around 60, I think she's in the mid 60s or early 60s, like that. And she was still complaining about the men in her life and not taking any sort of accountability for her choices. The same thing we are seeing with Tracee Ellis. Is it Tracee Lee or is it Tracee Ellis? I know her first name and her surname is Ross, I know, but whatever. But the gist of it is Tracee, right? Tracee, let's just call it Tracee Ross. Is in the same predicament as her sister, the elder sister, Vivica Fox. Of course, they're not blood sisters, but let's just go along with this, right? And that's because of the choices that they've made, right? They're complaining about the men who are of the same age as them, and talking about how toxic they are, which is obviously not true. And she's talking about dating younger men. Obviously, she has control issues. Anytime you see a beautiful lady, not married yet, no kids, avoiding women, rather a man her own age, right? I mean, she's not willing to be submissive, and she wants a toy boy, right? Hence, she wants younger men. Or at least that's the majority of the time, right? So, it's going to be a cold winter. And the main reason is because women like her, right, do not want, it's not only the accountability that they avoid, right, but also, right, they're not willing to change. Okay, now, for now, as a man, right, if you've been a man and you're old chap like me, you just put it on yourself that women have no accountability. Just know that, right? Now, it's, we can't argue about that. We know that women will hardly account for their actions, hardly account for their past actions, even their future action, right? Remember, what they do, they're too emotional, right? So we know that they're emotional, so they do things abruptly and do all sort of things without actually putting logic into it, especially when they do not have a logical man to lead them towards what they're supposed to be doing, right? Of course, this is another topic for another day, that men have to be responsible to doing this, right? However, the thing is, women, like Tracee Ellis Ross, they make the choices. You made the choice of not being wifey material. All this boss chick, boss lady, all that bullshit, right? Those are the type of things that create women like Vivica Fox, women like Tracee Ellis. Fame and money. However, like I said last time, those things do not keep your bed warm. Money does not. And thinking that you can get a young blood, a young nigga, YN, they call them these days, a YN, young nigga. I'm sorry to say, but a lot of the time this will come with a whole lot of drama, right? And a whole lot of nonsense for the ladies, right, who think that they can get away without being accountable and being responsible and getting a man that would actually lead them towards towards being matured and growing. Now, women like that, right, are not ready to mature. Not. I'm sure there are plenty of men who are willing to wed her, right, take her, right, but she's not ready. She isn't. For whatever reason, right? This is exactly why she's using jargons like toxic masculinity. She's throwing things out there as if it's true. She claims men her age, right? Excuse me. Men her age are toxic. But like how Kevin Samuels said, what is the common denominator here? Who is the common denominator here? Fine, the men that you're meeting are toxic, but who is attracting those men? It's the same thing as most men who start complaining about the ladies. You cannot complain about the ladies, right, if you're not willing to change and you're going for the same type of women. Women are this, women are that, but you're constantly going for the same type of women. You're attracting them. Who's the common denominator? And I don't spare men who do not hold themselves accountable. I can get women, right? These are emotional creatures, right? And I can kind of spare them. Women really cannot stand accountability. But for a man not taking accountability and saying, listen, I chose her, right? She's toxic, fine, but I chose her. And that's another thing, is that we do not want to see the red flags. We totally ignore them. The same thing with these women. Totally ignore the red flags within the relationship or within those men that they eventually call toxic, right? You see them coming, right? There's some nuances that they're gonna show, but you ignore them. And for me, for women, I think it's usually because, well, this is my own theory, that they want to complain about that. They want to complain about something. And that's why they don't want any sort of accountability and taking some responsibility, because it's the feeling of complaining that gets them. So they can complain to their girlfriends, they can complain to their moms, and so they can have something to talk about. So they go towards those toxic men, quote unquote toxic men. Right? However, for us men, we do not have that luxury of not being accountable. Can't complain about whoever we bring into our lives. But this right here, I went on a tangent here. This one specifically goes to those ladies right, who have a similar thought patterns as Tracee Ellis Ross. It's going to be a cold, cold winter. When you're in your 20s, it's easy to get away with excuse me, it's easy to get away with a lot of things, right? And that's why a lot of women eventually are surprised that there's accountability that comes with responsibility of their own life. Because when they're in their 20s, they get away with a lot of things. They're able to maneuver and manipulate and do all sorts of things, right? Because also the men they're with don't put them accountable for their actions. They don't. Especially when they're pretty. And I always say this, the pretty chicks usually get away with a whole lot of nonsense. And that's because a lot of men simps. They're simps and tricks. So they see a pretty chick, big booty, they allow them to do a whole lot of nonsense. So they get used to such things. It's where leadership comes. Do not allow a woman, just because she's pretty, to get away with nonsense. Because now that's how she's programmed. Program her that way. Then the next thing, she can't really handle either the truth or handle a mature man, because a woman without any sense of accountability is really immature and will not fathom ways of being accountable for her actions. She doesn't. Because everything is other people's fault. Same thing with Rebecca Fox. Nothing is her fault. It's the toxic man. Her younger sister Tracee. Nothing is her fault. It's the toxic man. Right? They're toxic. So she has no fault at all. So this in turn makes her think that she does not have to change. And if you remain that way, right, you decide, no, I'm not going to change because everyone else are the problem, right? It's not me, right? Man, you're just going to be toxic yourself. In fact, you're already toxic. You're the toxic one. No one wants to change. No one wants to mature. For whatever reason. But growing up, getting older, you cannot really skip that. You cannot ignore that. You have to work on yourself. You have to take responsibility and say, listen, these men who are not much of a challenge, who do not put me accountable for my action, are not helping me grow. They're not. Because they're not telling you the truth. That, listen, what you're doing is responsible. What you're doing won't work, especially for your future. Yes, you might be pretty, but you can't get away with that. Listen, for me, right, personally, the buck always stops me. No matter how pretty a chick is, if she's gonna show actions that do not align with my values, my principles, she's out. Most men cannot do that because they're simps and they're tricks, and they put the pussy above themselves. So they let every shit slide. And that's how you're actually programming the chick. She thinks every man should be that way. So you're not much of a challenge to them. You allow her to walk all over you. Yes, to the man. Now, this thing always comes back to the man. Or at least for me. I'll always put accountability to the man. The onus is on them, on us. Why? Because we are supposed to be the leaders, and not women. especially in the relationship. This context here is the relationship. If you're not a leader, don't expect the women to be good. They're only going to get worse. If you don't put them accountable, for their actions, what do you expect? You're tricking, you're simping, seeing their behavior and actually accepting their shit. And I'm not saying that you should go around like telling them this. No. The chicks that come into your life, the ones that you go after, the ones that you approach. How are you handling those? Are you letting them? In fact, those are the ones who are the most important, because you are the one who are allowing them to come into your life. Now, if you let them do whatever, then guess what? It means that you've already created another Tracee Ellis. Because you're a simp. You pedestalize the power you, the pussy. So this will always come back to us, man. No matter how we put it, we allow this shit. Fathers not taking care of their daughters, taking responsibility of them, telling them what's up, allowing them to do whatever. No matter how you put it, society's action will always reflect back to the man. No matter how much blame we put on the women are just like kids, man. And I'm not saying this to let them think that they're free and shit to do everything, right? No. But this is to say that as for men, we have to be the leaders, real leaders. Leadership does not mean just taking leadership positions in high places, government, companies. No. You have to be a leader of the self first. Be your own master first. Once that's done, right, become that masculine, chasing that excellence, then you'll know that, hey, listen, I don't take this sort of nonsense. The onus is on me. The buck stops here. I won't simp, right? I won't trick. I put these women and girls accountable for their actions, right? I don't care how pretty she is. She has to be told the truth. I do not need to manipulate her, right? And if I don't go into those sort of manipulation tactics and shit, it means she won't have time to manipulate me. She can't, because I don't play that game. So always comes back to us. So let me wrap up. So women, ladies out there, right? Remember, it's gonna be cold winter for you guys because you don't want to listen. You don't want to take accountability. However, one thing I can at least give you: make sure at least you choose someone who's logical, who's responsible, and who will put you accountable for your actions and tell you the truth, and not always pedestalizing you and telling you all sorts of things that you want to hear. Even if that's the case, but at least you should have boundaries. You should have boundaries and hold you accountable for your actions. He should challenge you. If you don't want to be challenged, then you can get with the youngins, the YNs. And there's a whole lot of drama because that sort of things don't work because you're immature, right? And he's immature. I don't know how that would work. Anyway, it's been your boy Alfred, 20 minutes on the dot. Till next time, peace.